India's commitment to food security now gets a global recognition. Akshay Patra serves the 4 billionth meal now and being awarded in United Nations. Nestled between the snow-capped mountains in the valley of Kashmir is Asia's largest tulip garden, which has been thrown open now to public. So we thought we can't take you there, but definitely give you a sneak peek. Also, all the IPL action, it's all about Mayank Yadav now, the 21-year-old who has had a terrific time in the IPL this season. He's been fab with pace and pulled the fastest delivery of IPL 2024. All right, let's start the program today by talking about 2 words, 2 letters that have really dominated our lives these days. It's AI. AI, is it a boon? Is it a bane? Should we adopt it? Should we love it? Should we hate it? It's a constant conversation around us, right? But today on the program, we bring you 2 perspectives on AI. One, how AI is actually being used as a social enabler, and the other one as a professional enabler. Let's start by telling you what AI actually does in the social sector now. AI, we all know, can be your digital personal assistant. It can make your home smart. It can give you all the answers. But would you believe if I tell you that AI is now making deaf and mute people communicate? Yes, you heard that right. It's now possible to translate sign language into voice and also voice translating into communication with the deaf and mute. So it's a 2-way working stream. It also means that there are no interpreters involved. AI is making the deaf and mute communicate all by just wearing some gloves. So all of this is being done by this made in India Pune startup, Glovatrix. So we of course had to bring them on the program. Let me now welcome Aishwarya Karnataki on the program. But before we go to Aishwarya, let's give you a glimpse of how this actually works. How just wearing gloves can make you communicate, have a 2-way conversation with the deaf and mute.
Hello doctor. My name is Parikshit. I am deaf.
Hello Mr. Parikshit. How may I help you today?
I have back pain.
When did the pain start?
Last week.
How intense is it from 1 to 10?
Six.
Okay, I will give you medicine.
Thank you, doctor.
Welcome.
Now, how absolutely phenomenal and cool is that? So let's straight away dive into understanding what went behind making this and what's the purpose they're really trying to solve. Let me welcome Aishwarya Karnataki, the co-founder at Glovatrix on the program. Good morning, Aishwarya, and welcome to the Breakfast Club. We just saw a glimpse of what these gloves really do. It is quite fascinating, quite cool, and we love how it's actually solving problems. But take us through, how did it all start? How did you guys come up with something like this?
Yeah, so first of all, I am super happy to be here with you, Sonal. So, okay, talking about Glovatrix, I had this idea with me since 2008. My school had a separate section for children with disabilities. And I used to observe that while all of these kids were going through their own issues, there was a 6-year-old deaf child who had no friends to talk to. So I started learning sign language to interact with him. And I asked him, will you be my friend? And that made him so happy. I still remember his reaction. It's etched in my memory. And since that day, I have always wanted to help deaf people communicate. It so happened that I did my electronics engineering, and my final year project was a gesture controlled robotic cars. So, using those gestures and sensors, I've always wanted to make a device which would translate sign language. And then
Brilliant.
I met my
Yeah.
co founder, Parikshit, at a party. And he told me he wants to be an entrepreneur. And I said, you know what? I need someone with exactly your skill set. The very next day, we met at Starbucks, very cliched with a small notepad, and we chalked out some of the basics. And 4 years later, here we are.
That's quite a meet cute over there between you and your founder. But what phenomenal work both of you have done. But tell us a little bit, is this patented now in India? Does tech like this exist across the globe? And importantly, how much does it cost?
Yes, it is patented here in India. There is no product available in the Indian markets as of now. Outside of India, there are some companies which make similar products, but they are quite expensive as compared to ours. In our case, we want to keep affordability as one of the main focus of Gloatrix.
Right. And what about scale here then? How will you ensure that, and where are you taking this to market next?
So we are on the 8th iteration of our prototype, and now we are ready to do pilots with organizations. So sign language translation has many applications in itself. So the application that we want to focus on here is increasing the employability rate of the deaf and the speech impaired people. So we want to pilot with organizations which hire deaf and speech impaired people as their employees. And this will serve as a workplace communications tool for the deaf and the speech impaired employees.
Right. So at what length can it go on? Like how many words can it pick up at one go?
So right now we have programmed it with around 50 to 100 gestures. But going forward, we plan on making a vocabulary of around 500 gestures, which will be comprehensive enough for a deaf person to hold a conversation at workplace.
Nice, Ashwarya. This is quite path-breaking. And I believe you recently got funding as well to sort of scale it up further. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story with us, and good luck with what you and Parikshit are actually doing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure being here with you on this show.
All right, so that was quite amazing how AI is being used to solve social issues. But let's sort of talk about how AI is being used to solve problems at workplaces. We all know about AI being used to not delegate but elevate your work. But can you really give some palm off some responsibilities to AI? How are professions using it? So for example, how are doctors, engineers, lawyers, even journalists incorporating AI in their daily life? We thought we'd look at professions in specific to try and get concrete, actionable ideas for you. Let's talk about lawyers specifically today. And you know, a quote really comes to mind. Google CEO Sundar Pichai had once said that he is willing to bet that AI will increase the number of lawyers a decade from now. In fact, Goldman Sachs went ahead to say that they estimate that 44% of the current legal work tasks could be automated by AI. What will this do to the industry then? There was a survey done for leaders at law firms and legal professionals for Fortune 1000 companies, and just in this year, they've come out with some path-breaking findings. It says that 47% believe that generative AI will decrease costs. It also talks about 30% indicating that it will increase revenue, and that 31% of law firms have already an AI budget, and 90% are saying that they're surely going to invest in AI. So AI in law firms has arrived. The question is, how will it translate into usage here in India? So we thought we'll go around and ask some lawyers, do they really use AI? If yes, how so? And how are they managing or keeping up with AI? Here's what they said.
AI in my practice, no, per se, I haven't. But as a party trick, we did use one of the popular generative AI tools, and I must say I was very impressed with it. When it was asked the question about, to say something nasty about N.S. Napinai, the response that came was, N.S. Napinai is a very respected and renowned lawyer. It's inappropriate to ask this question. Seriously impressive, I must say. But whilst I may have not used AI, I was very keen on actually developing an AI tool, and that was nearly a decade and a half back. I guess I was ahead of my time at that time. Something that would be able to counsel you, to give you opinions, to give you insights into what could be a possible outcome of a dispute, a litigation, a case management or data management, studying contracts to give you an insight into where there could be a conflict. But remember, whatever an AI tool can do, ultimately you need the person, the human behind the wheel.
Well, yes, lots of devices these days are AI enabled. And in addition to it, I do use some apps which are based on AI. I used an app called Reword sometimes for writing. I also use Perplexity, which is there on my mobile. And if I want a outline about any subject, Perplexity helps. I would like legal AI, which could possibly go through my briefs, come out with a list of dates, the relevant case law, and possible lines of argument. That which younger lawyers do in a senior advocate's office. If there is an AI which does everything like that, maybe that would be useful.
All right then, so that's the current status of AI being incorporated by lawyers in India. But let's turn to an expert now. We are joined by Deepa Premkumar. She's partner at Flintox and someone who's been watching the application of AI in our daily lives very, very closely. Good morning, Deepa. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. It's always lovely to have you. We got a bit of a reality check. The statistics we spoke about, how globally people and companies are sort of incorporating AI, or law firms are incorporating AI, is much higher compared to how we look at it being sort of used or adapted to in India. This comes at a time when the Chief Justice of India has also said that even judges should now incorporate AI and use it in some form. So my first question really to you is, how exactly can law firms, since India is also just catching up to it now, how can law firms and lawyers use AI now in a daily practice?
It was interesting to hear the senior advocates ask for some of those things AI could do, because already AI is doing some parts of that in different places of the world, right? So let me give you a few instances of how AI today is shifting the legal profession. Technology used to exist earlier as well. And earlier, the law firms and lawyers would use technology to find out what are the precedents, what are the previous rulings, and get that in. So the earlier technology could collate data and collect it in one place. But artificial intelligence today is able to understand that data. And that, Sonal, is a big shift. Because it's not just collating it, it understands that data, which means it's able to bring in that information and build on top. I'll give you 3 examples of how AI is being used by different law firms in the world today. First, it collects the data and then it creates drafts of the contracts, creates drafts of the filings that can be sent to court. There's a patent law firm which has been using it, and that law firm says that they've been able to reduce the time of patent filing by 50% because the first draft is created by artificial intelligence. It's able to understand that, create the first draft. The second one, it's able to make the legal jargon simpler. I'm sure you'll agree that you and I would have seen contracts and say, why do they write it like
Absolutely.
this? Why can't it be a little simpler so that we lay people could understand
Yeah.
it? Lawyers don't need to spend so
Huh.
much time. So there is AI and
Huh.
startups who are working on making that simpler, making that accessible. It's able to scan contracts, call out key sections of the contract, and say, these are things that we should focus on. This is what will happen. This is the impact monetarily. This is the billing that we should send for clients and things like that. So it's able to read a contract, make sense of it, and give you the key points that you can actually work on, right? And the last one, this is my favorite example. AI is able to look at all the past rulings, the past hearings, and is able to
Oh.
predict what a particular judge in a particular courtroom will pass a particular motion. There's a company called Gavelatics, and they're able to use this predictive thing, saying this is most likely what the judge will say to a ruling like this, to a appeal like this, to a motion like this. And that opens up a world of possibilities for lawyers because they can then use it and then think about how should I play this differently? How should I approach the court differently? So I've given you 3 examples of how AI has shifted.
Yeah, this is fab, Deepa. But, very quickly, I want to understand, I'm sure there are concerns as well, like everything with artificial intelligence, on whether or not there will be sort of breach of data, or there are speculations and questions of security of these very, very sort of top documents.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think data confidentiality, data privacy is a key concern. We work with law firms, and that's one of the most common things that comes up, saying, my client's data is confidential. I can't have it out there. I can't hand it over to some algorithm to include in some data set, right? So that's a key concern, a very valid concern that the law firms have. But today, artificial intelligence has been able to create those bubbles. There are enterprise level AIs available, which do not let your data go out into the universe. Specifically designed to keep your data set in your company and not let it go out. So that is one. The second concern is around accuracy. Sometimes AI does get ahead of itself, doesn't always give you accurate data and things like that. Accuracy is a second key concern that comes up. There have been stories about some filings going wrong as well. There are specific AIs which are designed and built and trained on legal data, like Harvey, like ExcelSoft, like Lexis AI, which are trained on legal data to make them far more accurate. So there are challenges.
So what you're telling me is there is AI for a solution, for solving a problem, and there is an AI for addressing those concerns as well, which is quite fascinating. Well, we leave it there for the moment, Deepa, to wrap our head around so much that you have really brought to us on lawyers, and perhaps get back and talk about different professions and how they incorporate AI. This is truly fascinating. Thanks so much for joining us with that.
Thank you, Sonal.
All right, after all that chat about AI, let's shift our focus to the real world now and transport you to the Kashmir Valley. Now, nestled between the snow-capped mountains in the Valley of Kashmir is Asia's biggest tulip garden, which is now been thrown open for public. It is now in full bloom, so we thought, aapko bhi dikha dete hain.
Take out your camera because it's that time of the season when Asia's largest tulip garden is in full bloom. Not only locals but also people from across the globe and nature lovers come here every year around April and March when it's in full bloom.
1.7 million tulips are laying a magic, adorned with a kaleidoscope of colors. This is Asia's largest tulip garden, which is sounding the arrival of spring in Kashmir with its vibrant flowers. As the snow melts, the garden bursts into a mesmerizing display of tulips, painting the landscape. The garden has already witnessed 60,000 plus visitors who are awestruck by the mesmerizing beauty. 5 new varieties have been added this year to the garden, which brings the total number of tulip varieties to 73. The tulips are set against the backdrop of the Zabarwan range, which is slowly attracting filmmakers from Bollywood and beyond. Thousands of tourists from India visit the Kockenhof Gardens in the Netherlands in search of their perfect silsila moment, but many are now reliving them in Kashmir.
You're in Kashmir. What better than to wear your beautiful sari and it complements the entire tulip garden. We are mesmerized
by the beautiful flowers, the colors, they're all beautiful, all the colors, and that's the color that we wanted to have add more colors to the tulip garden, and that's why we are draped in the saris that we are.
As they rightly said, Jannat yahi hai, and I'm so mesmerized when I go back. This is like a mind therapy. I'm so happy, we both are so happy out here. This is my second visit. I had come when I was very tiny with my parents. Of course, I don't have the memories of that. But something like this is absolutely and truly divine.
Rows upon rows of tulips stretch across the landscape, with Dal Lake at one end and Himalayan mountains at the other. The air in the garden is filled with fragrance and freshness. The administration has ensured that the garden is made disability friendly. The 74 acres of garden feel like a carpet-like spread with delicate petals swaying gently in the breeze. Visitors wander through the pathways in numbers since early morning, taking out their cameras for a perfect picture moment. Last year, 3.5 lakh plus tourists visited the garden, and the number is expected to grow this year, which opens at 9 in the morning and closes at 7 in the evening. The garden was opened in 2007 to boost floriculture and tourism in the Kashmir Valley.
I was just awestruck. I could control myself. It's full of colors, and you can actually see me that I'm so excited.
बहुत लकी फील हो रहा है. हम लोग फर्स्ट टाइम आए हैं कश्मीर और बहुत ही ज़्यादा सुंदर, एक्चुअली जन्नत है कश्मीर.
हमारे एक फ्रेंड ने मैसेज भेजा था, ये देख के जरूर आना आप, इसलिए हम खास ये देखने के लिए आए हैं यहाँ पे.
If you are planning a refreshing trip to Kashmir, the time may be now.
There are hundreds of tourists every day coming to see it. Nature lovers, people clicking pictures, you name it, people are there from different parts of India. And there are also tourists from other countries who come to see this garden. It has gained attraction over the years, and it is being expanded more and more after every year to give it a new feel and touch. Being a local native every year, I am just amazed at the expansion and the sort of beauty that every year it has to offer. They're importing more tulips from different parts of the world and planting them here and getting us every year a new spectacle of nature. It's surrounded by Zabarwan mountain range and Dal Lake on its foothills, and this is something which you don't get to see in every or any tulip garden that is existing in any part of the world. And this is truly a nature's masterpiece, and people in numbers come here every year. Last year it surpassed more than 3 lakhs, and this year it's expected to go beyond that. With camera person Bashir Lone, Ishanwani for CNN News 18.
Spectacular and mesmerizing, isn't it? But why should Ishan alone have all the fun? Well, if you are planning a Srinagar trip, you can also visit the Tulip Garden. It's pretty easy. It's located just about 22 kilometers from Srinagar Airport and 18 kilometers from the railway station, and a mere 8 kilometers away from Lal Chowk. So it's easily accessible from various points in the city. But wondering how the travel costs are going to be? Well, flights from major cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru range from about 7,500 bucks to about 25,000. But you can plan your visit and immerse yourself in the beauty of this enchanting destination, because the view that you get there is truly priceless. On that note, let's slip into a break. Coming up on the other side, a lot of chatter about food and food allergies, and no, they are not the same as food intolerance. Come right back for that.
Let's take a look at what actually the 2015 RTI reveals on the Katchi Island that has been cited by the Congress party. Now, it states that 1974 agreement did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory. This is what the 2015 RTI reveals, the territory that belongs to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. So this is what 2015 RTI reveals, that the area was never demarcated, and under the agreements, the island of Katchat is on the Sri Lankan side of the water of the India-Sri Lanka International Maritime Boundary Line. This is what was there in the 2015 RTI, which has now been cited by the Congress party while hitting back at the centre over the allegations on Katchat. Pallavi continues. Pallavi and Aman continue to stay with us. Pallavi, now coming to you. The claim that is coming in from the Congress party is that there are discrepancies in the 2015 RTI report and the 2024 RTI report, and they have even questioned that, is that because the elections are near?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole of yesterday, the Congress party, Anjali, has been consistently making the point that, first of all, which I just mentioned, if like when the Prime Minister spoke about it for the first time in Lok Sabha in 2023, why is it that the government is now raking this up issue? They had enough of time because they are in power, clearly, and they could have done something about it, because the BJP has always claimed to, and the government has always claimed to have a very robust foreign policy. And, you know, it could have been very easily done. And why was it not done? Second, I mean, a leader after leader has gone on to say that this is just a selective usage of the RTI report. Whatever side suits the BJP narrative, they pick it up and they try to create a narrative. They're trying to create a rift between the DMK and the Congress. Like, more than a Congress, which is, of course, a national level party and also has stakes in Tamil Nadu, DMK is a Tamil Nadu based party. That's an emotive factor, because Tamil versus Tamil, along with Sri Lanka, is always had that very deep emotional connect for generations, as we were talking about, Anjali. So what is the BJP trying to do politically? Stoke and provoke the DMK to ask them this question: look, isn't the Congress becoming a liability for you? How are you going to respond to that? And when we are going to see the election dates nearing in Tamil Nadu, of course the BJP is going to build up the tempo on this. That's what they are doing vis-a-vis the DMK. But moving beyond that at the national level, as I just pointed out, of course they are going to push the narrative that the Congress has always been against nationalism. 2019 Lok Sabha elections, Pulwama, Balakot airstrikes, something which the BJP has never allowed the Congress to forget. And that's the point which Congress has been saying. That, and Digvijay Singh, I remember, Udit Raj, all of them would say, let elections come. BJP will find out an agenda and they're going to push it and they're going to try and play the nationalism card. That's exactly what the Congress is now accusing the BJP of.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Aman, now coming to you. In yesterday's press conference that was held by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he said that it was the Congress that gave away the island, but it was the DMK that hid it. In fact, the 2024 RTI also mentions that Karuna Nadi was very well taken into confidence, and he took this decision to not make any public stand for obvious political reasons. So what could have been these obvious political reasons?
Welcome back, and let's give you some fascinating piece of information that has just come in. The world's most powerful MRI scanner has delivered its first images of the human brain, reaching a new level of precision that is hope to shed more light on the mysterious mind and the illnesses that haunt them. Researchers at the France's Atomic Energy Commission first used the machine to scan a pumpkin back in 2021, but the health authorities now recently gave them a green light to scan the human brain. And over the past several months, around 20 healthy volunteers have become the first to enter the maw, as they say, of the magnetic resonance imaging, or the MRI machine, which is located in the south of Paris, home to many such technology companies. And what you see on your screen right now is the first, that detailed image of the human brain. Now imagine the kind of researches, the kind of awareness we will have, the kind of precision we will have in understanding this very complicated yet beautiful part of our body. All right, but talking about the human brain, let's talk about the other important bit, that's your gut. And let's talk about food in that. Now, so many people around us these days, we know, have some or the other sort of food allergies, commonly understood to be food allergies. The question then is, how do you test it? Now, we know that there are a lot of tests abroad that are mandatory. Also, a lot of people in the Western world have much more food intolerance than us Indians, which is a good thing, but the pattern is slightly changing with our changing food patterns. So, we thought we'll sort of do a deep dive into how do you know what food allergy do you have? And importantly, do you know the difference between food allergy and food intolerance? So, let's take a look at that. Firstly, let's talk about the 9 most common food allergies really out there. Number 1 is said to be cow's milk. I am a culprit myself of that. There is eggs, there are tree nuts, peanuts, shellfish, wheat, soy, fish, sesame even. These are the 9 most common food allergies that prevail here. But what are the symptoms? A lot of people don't know when they have a food allergy. In some, the symptoms are mild, in some, they are much worse. But the most common ones are swelling of the tongue, mouth and face, difficulty in breathing, sudden difficulty in breathing, low blood pressure, vomiting even, diarrhea, hives we know commonly, itchy rash as well. So, if you have any of these symptoms, you must automatically think that there is some sort of food allergy that you've got and must see a doctor. But then the question is, how do you get to know? Pata kaise chalega kya allergy hai? So we did a food allergy test, a very detailed food allergy skin prick test that is now available in India. These are tests that were earlier done as a blood test, but now the entire tech has moved forward. I went through this test myself. Take a look.
Sonal, welcome to Mumbai Allergy Center.
Really looking forward to this.
So we first clean the hand with the alcohol swab.
Scared now?
No. After the first prick you won't be scared. It's the only itching you will.
Hoega to nahi na?
Bilkul nahi hoga.
I can feel like there's something itching out there.
It is a negative test.
So this means I have no food allergy.
Yeah.
That's so great. The idea is to educate our viewers, but skin prick sounds painful almost, is it?
Best part about skin prick test is that it is a painless and a bloodless process.
So I did that detailed test over there and the results have been quite satisfying, but also opened my mind to the difference between food allergy and intolerance as well. So we got Dr. Sunita Shukla back with us here in the studio. She's the founder and director for the Mumbai Allergy Center. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Doc. So firstly, these tests out there, how many of them are really in the market that can be taken?
Oh, so there are many tests in the market, and the best test is the skin prick test, which is the gold standard diagnostic method throughout the world and endorsed by all the allergy associations. Then we have some blood tests, but in the market there are many blood tests which are not actually good for the food allergies, and they are called as the food intolerance test. And many times people will do this test, go to a lab, just do it, and they will stop taking the nutritious food which they are actually not allergic to. And they will be exposed to multiple immunosuppressive effects of not having these
So it's very
foods.
important to know which test to get done.
Absolutely.
And equally important to then consult with an expert and understand its outcome, right?
So best is to consult an expert, understand what do you have, whether it is a food allergy or a food intolerance, and then you decide which test to go for. Like for example, in the blood test you asked, then once we take a detailed history from the patient, we decide what food allergy test we have to do. It can be skin prick test or a blood test. In blood test, we do a serum specific IG for that particular food allergen. And now with latest research, we have a component resolved diagnostic test where each food will be broken down into the proteins. Like for milk, we will have multiple proteins, the casein, the lactin, and all those things. and then you decide how to manage that patients.
Right. But tell me this, Doc, a lot of the Indian subcontinent now we have information that is largely lactose intolerant, and we didn't know this.
Yes.
A lot of people had bloating issues, had gut issues, and they didn't know for the longest time that it was being caused by milk. It's something that people face, I also face, but it didn't pop up. That's when you educated us the difference between intolerance of food and food allergy. Can you explain it simply for our viewers?
Yeah. So food allergy is something where if you take that particular food, you will get a allergic reaction. What you said in the, initially, hives, rashes full throughout the body, breathing difficulty. The patient can even collapse. That is called as anaphylaxis. But a food intolerance is basically a problem of the digestive system. That once you take the food is not getting digested properly. So you'll start getting, nausea, bloating, a desire to go to the washroom after some time, and not passing stools properly. So you may even get migraine, joint pain. So these all are intolerance, but both are different because management is different.
But is it fair to say that largely food allergy would pop up on the skin? And if it's happening in your gut, then it could be intolerance.
Yes, most of the time it will be like this, but there can be many variations to it. Like you have eaten a food, but it's not only the gut, your skin is reacting, your heart is reacting, your BP is coming down, you can even collapse. So there could be a multifacet to a food allergy, and it's important to know because management is different. A food allergy can be devastating, it can be catastrophic, you can even die with food allergy. You have read so many peanut allergy cases in the Western world, but we don't have that in India. Whereas a food intolerance, it's not a life-threatening situation, but it gives you a lot of discomfort. And just avoiding the food makes it very easy.
Yeah, it doesn't require any intervention.
So we have very simple breath test. Like in your case, milk allergy was negative. But if we do a lactose intolerance test for you with a simple breathing device, we can find it, and then we can give you lactase enzyme and you can enjoy any of your milk dessert whenever you want.
Yeah, that's good to know. And this reminds me, there's this great book by Novak Djokovic, the world #1 in tennis. He's written a book and he says that he became world #1 not because of technique, change in technique or skill, but because he realized he had food allergies that he took care of. So just catering to it really put him up there and as world #1. So that's how important what goes in your gut and what goes in your system is, and thus so important to know that you're eating the right thing and not the one that's causing differences in your body. Thanks so much, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's take a look at some other fascinating news from India and across the globe. Now, Facebook has been accused of allowing Netflix to access users' private messages in exchange for data. And according to the recently revealed court documents, this revelation comes amid Meta's decision to discontinue its streaming business. However, the court documents filed in an antitrust lawsuit against Meta shed new light on the situation, and the lawsuit alleges that Meta's decision to shut down its streaming business was influenced by Netflix, one of its significant advertising partners. Google has reached a significant settlement to address privacy concerns, agreeing to delete billions of records as part of a lawsuit alleging unauthorized tracking of users' online activities. And the lawsuit accused Google of surreptitiously monitoring individuals' internet behavior even when they believed they were browsing privately in Chrome's incognito mode. Japan's royal family takes a bold step into the digital age as they debut on Instagram, aiming to connect with the younger audience and shed their reclusion image. The Imperial Household Agency flooded the platform with 60 pictures and 6 videos showcasing the Emperor, the Empress as well, in various public engagements. K-pop star Karina and actor Lee Shin-wook has decided to part ways after making their relationship public just 5 weeks ago. The couple's relationship had sparked controversy and anger among some fans, leading to a public apology by Karina Now, as they go their separate ways, questions have been made on the influence of the fan culture or the private lives of celebrities, even in South Korea's entertainment industry. Pop star Shakira has sparked a debate as she voices criticism against the Barbie movie, branding it emasculating. In an interview, Shakira expressed concerns over the film's portrayal, igniting discussions on gender roles and empowerment in the pop culture. All right, let's switch tracks now and talk about something that is making India proud on a global platform. Now, there has been a global recognition for India's contribution to food security. The Akshay Patra Foundation's 4th billion meals milestone under the PM Poshan Abhiyan commemorated at the United Nations. This, in fact, for us, not very long ago in New York. Akshay Patra works with state governments and institutes to provide midday meals to school children, and this endeavour has ensured lesser dropout rates and more children coming to school, which thereby has resulted in better education of children. Akshay Patra was started in the year 2000 by the ISKCON Bangalore under the leadership of Madhu Pandit Dasa and Chalpati Dasa as well. And joining us now is the co-founder and vice chairman of Akshay Patra. Chanchalpati Dasaji is with us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir, and here on the Breakfast Club. I want to first start by congratulating you and Akshay Patra on more than these 4 billion meals served to children. Now, take us through the entire ceremony that happened there. We had Narayan Murthy, Kailash Satyarthi all in attendance along with the Indian ambassador to the UN, and a special note from the Prime Minister as well. What was the message?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, we had a very interesting program this morning in the United Nations headquarters. And it was very well attended by about 600 people. And it was on the occasion, as you mentioned, Akshay Patra serving 4 billion meals since inception in the last 24 years. And it was very well received. Mr. Murthy, Narayan Murthy, participated in that, and he spoke very strongly about his own personal experience of hunger. And he recalled some 40 years ago or 45 years ago, something that he had experienced for about 140 hours without food, and what he had gone through being hungry. And so he said that hunger is such an important issue in the world and in our society and in our country. And he spoke very highly about Akshay Patra working towards hunger. And then Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi was also present. And he spoke a lot about compassion. And he said that Akshay Patra is when you combine compassion, technology, and good management, what you get is Akshay Patra. That was a very good compliment to hear from the Nobel laureate. And he made some interesting remarks. He said that today we have businesses are globalized, technology is globalized, information flow is globalized. Now, one other important thing that has to be globalized is compassion itself. So we can't have religions without compassion. We cannot have business without compassion. We cannot have politics without compassion. Compassion has to pervade all aspects of human activity in order to make this world better. And he spoke once again that Akshay Patra is founded on this aspect of compassion.
That's
and
beautiful.
Prime Minister,
But,
go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. I wanted to understand what is the vision ahead for Akshay Patra. Have you set a goal, say, for 2030?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Right now, we are feeding 2.1 million children, and we have about a dozen kitchens in the pipeline. It takes about 1 year to 1.5 years to get these kitchens ready. And when all of these
All right, we seem to have lost that line slightly with Chantalpati ji. He's joining us from New York, remember, where the entire program was just held at the UN headquarters and giving out details on the entire program. Let's switch tracks now and get you some IPL action. Well, in IPL, we've been witnessing some terrific performances, and one came last night from the match between Lucknow Super Giants and the Royal Challengers Bangalore, and it was all about the 21-year-old Mayank Yadav, who has been terrific with his pace, and he bowled the fastest delivery, 165.7 kilometers per hour for IPL 2024. On the other hand, RCB fans were again disappointed with their team show, but were in smiles to see their favourite player Virat Kohli back with the orange cap. All in all, it was a very special day for cricket fans, as they also remembered something very special that happened 13 years back. What am I talking about? Take a look.
What would you call a bowler who breathes fire? Or what would you call a bowler who consistently bowls over a speed of 150 kilometers per hour? Well, I will call a bowler like that just pure pace sensation. And that's Mayank Yadav for you all. Well, Mayank was the biggest highlight of Lucknow Super Giants versus Royal Challengers Bangalore match that happened at the Chinnaswamy Stadium last night. LSG won that match by 28 runs, and the match winner was Mayank Yadav. Such a youngster he is, and the kind of bowling he's been doing in this IPL has been just terrific. He smashed his own record in this IPL, and I'll tell all of that in detail. But first up, let me tell you that in match against RCB, he took 3 for, but that ripper kind of a delivery to Cameron Green, oof, it was pure magic. All the pacers around the world are talking about Mayank Yadav. Rightly said that he's the new talk of the town. Dale Steyn has been giving some serious thought around his bowling, and why not? It's been so sensational. Now, Mayank made his debut in IPL against Punjab Kings. He took a 3-4 in that match as well, got the Player of the Match award, and then got a chance to play against RCB. He took a 3-4, got Player of the Match award, and he bowled at an economy of 3.50. Pure magic. Mayank Yadav has been a treat to the eyes so far in this IPL, and would love to see more of his bowling, especially that pace, going ahead in the tournament. Well, Mayank Yadav's story is also very special. You know, he was bought by Lucknow Super Giants in the year 2022. But he got injured and couldn't play any match for his side. Now in 2024, he got the chance, and see, 2 Player of the Match awards in as many matches that he has played. His journey has been phenomenal. He credits all this achievement to his hard work in domestic cricket, and his ultimate goal is to be in that blue jersey and play for Team India. He should surely get a chance if he bowls this way. Obviously, it'll be too soon for any of us to comment around whether he should play for India or not, but right now it'll be no exaggeration in saying that he's one of the finest bowlers in this IPL. He's been winning matches for Lucknow Super Giants, and he's a treasure for them. Well, on one side it was all about Mayank Yadav in this match. On the other side, it was about Messiah of RCB. The moment Royal Challengers Bangalore's king entered the ground, the crowd at the Chinnaswamy Stadium went mad. They were just waiting to have one look of Virat Kohli, and why not? It was his 100th T20 match at the Bangalore Stadium. Great achievement for Virat Kohli. Now he's crossed 200 runs in this IPL and got his orange cap back. But obviously, he won't be that happy with his team's performance. It was their loss at the home ground, and who wants to see losing at their home ground only? Now, Royal Challengers Bangalore really need to think where they are going wrong. Obviously, there are two things, one is their bowling front and the other one is their batting lineup. Now, RCB won the toss against LSG. They opted to bowl first, but a big question is whether they were bowling a bowler shot. Now, a lot of opinions will go around this one. But if we talk about the batters, Glenn Maxwell's not working well. He got out and he has added his name to a list where he would have never imagined his name in. He has got 16 ducks in IPL, just one short of what Rohit Sharma and Dinesh Karthik have got. Now, talking about Virat Kohli, his wicket was taken by a debutant, M. Siddharth, and it was the 10th time that Virat Kohli gave his wicket to a debutant. Now, that's something that were the highlights of this match, but the two big achievements that happened, Mayank Yadav's Player of the Match award with his sensational pace bowling, and on the other hand, Virat Kohli's 100th T20 game in Bengaluru.
Also, fun fact about Mayank Yadav, it's not just his speed of 156.7 kilometers per hour, but also the number of bowls he has delivered. Mayank has bowled number of 155 deliveries in IPL history from his debut in just this season, and that's quite a record in itself. But let's shift tracks now from all the IPL action to what's happening in the markets. And recently, putting misinformation online to rest, the Finance Ministry had clarified that they're going to not do away at all with the old tax regime. But if you're still confused about it, don't worry. On TBC, we've got a full explainer for you. What exactly do you need to look at between the old tax regime and the new tax regime? There is a default one, but that does not mean that the old one does not exist. Here's Stacey with more.
As we step into FY25, many of you may be wondering, are there any financial changes that come into effect from the 1st of April 2024, especially with regards to the taxation as well as the new tax regime? Many people took to social media trying to figure out what really changes. Does the new tax regime become that default regime with no other option? Well, the Finance Ministry has taken note that there was misleading information that was being shared on social media platforms and decided to set the record straight. NorthBlock has clarified that there are no changes that will come into effect in the new financial year. In a post on X, which is formerly Twitter, the ministry clarified that the new tax regime, which was introduced in the Finance Act of 2023, will become the default regime. However, it will continue to exist along with the old tax regime, and taxpayers can choose whichever regime is beneficial to them. So let's get the details of what these tax slabs entail. Under the new tax regime, tax is exempt for any income up to 3 lakh rupees. From 3 to 6 lakh rupees, it is a 5% tax slab, that being the lowest slab. Whereas for income above 15 lakh rupees, it is 30%, which is the highest slab. But under the old regime, it is 30% for any income above 10 lakh rupees. Now, the note also categorically states that while the tax rates are significantly lower under the new tax regime, other than the standard deduction of 50,000 rupees on your salary as well as the 15,000 rupees from your family pension, no other deduction will be applicable under the new tax regime. So what if you want to opt out from the new tax regime? Well, that provision too will be available till the filing of your returns for the assessment year of FY24-25. Eligible persons without any business income will have the option to choose the regime for each financial year. So you can go on to choose from the new tax regime in one financial year and the old tax regime in another financial year, or even vice versa.
All right, and talking about that, let's also take a quick look at the markets and how they're shaping up this morning. Now, this is a special section of financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Now, markets this morning, trends in GIFT Nifty indicate a weak opening for the Indian stock markets, and US stocks fall on fears of Federal Reserve may delay interest rate cuts. Asian markets also trade lower in Wednesday morning trade, and crude oil prices hold firm as traders weigh demand-supply conditions. As for the sectors, now telecom is rapidly growing but competitive in the market. India is fast approaching a peak in tele-density, and the future growth is largely contingent on increasing usage. Can the sector still offer increasing investment opportunities? For more on these, you can always log on to Money Control Pro and find out more about India's telecom sector and other actionable insights. It's a premier destination for all your investing, views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control. Well, that's all we could wrap. That's all we could wrap in today's edition of The Breakfast Club. I hope you enjoyed it. Do send us your feedback. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Bye-bye.
Let's take a look at what actually the 2015 RTI reveals on the Katchat Island that has been cited by the Congress party. Now, it states that 1974 agreement did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory. This is what the 2015 RTI reveals, the territory that belongs to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. So this is what 2015 RTI reveals, that the area was never demarcated, and under the agreements, the island of Katchat is on the Sri Lankan side of the water of the India-Sri Lanka International Maritime Boundary Line. This is what was there in the 2015 RTI, which has now been cited by the Congress party while hitting back at the centre over the allegations on Katchat. Pallavi continues. Pallavi and Aman continue to stay with us. Pallavi, now coming to you. The claim that is coming in from the Congress party is that there are discrepancies in the 2015 RTI report and the 2024 RTI report, and they have even questioned that, is that because the elections are near?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole of yesterday, the Congress party, Anjali, has been consistently making the point that, first of all, which I just mentioned, if like when the Prime Minister spoke about it for the first time in Lok Sabha in 2023, why is it that the government is now raking this up issue? They had enough of time because they are in power, clearly, and they could have done something about it, because the BJP has always claimed to, and the government has always claimed to have a very robust foreign policy. And, you know, it could have been very easily done. And why was it not done? Second, I mean, a leader after leader has gone on to say that this is just a selective usage of the RTI report. Whatever side suits the BJP narrative, they pick it up and they try to create a narrative. They're trying to create a rift between the DMK and the Congress. Like, more than a Congress, which is, of course, a national level party and also has stakes in Tamil Nadu, DMK is a Tamil Nadu based party. That's an emotive factor, because Tamil versus Tamil, along with Sri Lanka, is always had that very deep emotional connect for generations, as we were talking about, Anjali. So what is the BJP trying to do politically? Stoke and provoke the DMK to ask them this question: look, isn't the Congress becoming a liability for you? How are you going to respond to that? And when we are going to see the election dates nearing in Tamil Nadu, of course the BJP is going to build up the tempo on this. That's what they are doing vis-a-vis the DMK. But moving beyond that at the national level, as I just pointed out, of course they are going to push the narrative that the Congress has always been against nationalism. 2019 Lok Sabha elections, Pulwama, Balakot airstrike, something which the BJP has never allowed the Congress to forget. And that's the point which Congress has been saying. That Antigvijay Singh, I remember, Udit Raj, all of them would say, let elections come. BJP will find out an agenda and they're going to push it and they're going to try and play the nationalism card. That's exactly what the Congress is now accusing the BJP of.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Aman, now coming to you, in yesterday's press conference that was held by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he said that it was the Congress that gave away the island, but it was the DMK that hid it. In fact, the 2024 RTI also mentions that Karunanidhi was very well taken into confidence, and he took this decision to not make any public stand for obvious political reasons. A very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching the morning news on CNN News 18. I'm Anjali Pandey here to take you through all the latest news and updates from across the nation and around the world. And our top focus continues to remain on the row over Katchi Island. Now, as political war of words continue to intensify over this island, former Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla, in an exclusive interview with CNN News 18, shed some light on this particular issue, highlighting its political significance. Now, Shringla emphasized the timely declassification of documents after 50 years. He also stressed on the fact that political leaders from Congress and the DMK must be accountable to public for their actions, which they did as far as this particular island is concerned. And in fact, Shringla further said that records show that DMK Supremo M. Karunanidhi was briefed about the island situation many times. He criticized Congress for granting the island to Sri Lanka despite India's historical claims, including fishing rights. And when it comes to the possibility of China leasing out the island, the former Foreign Secretary warned against potential security threats, advocating discussions with Sri Lanka for fishing rights as a pragmatic approach.
तमिलनाडु के पास समंदर में एक कच्छा द्वीप टापू है, द्वीप है। वो द्वीप भारत का हिस्सा था, लेकिन कांग्रेस ने उसको श्रीलंका को दे दिया। अब इस द्वीप के आसपास भी कोई भारतीय मछुआरे गलती से चला जाता है तो उसे गिरफ्तार किया लिया जाता है, जेल में बंद कर दिया जाता है। आप मुझे बताइए, ऐसी कांग्रेस जो भारत के टुकड़े करने के उनके नेता बात करते हो, जो कच्छ द्वीप को दे देते हो, क्या वो देश की रक्षा कर सकती है? जरा पूरी ताकत से बताइए, देश की रक्षा कर सकती है? क्या कांग्रेस देश की रक्षा कर सकती है? भाइयों और बहनों, कांग्रेस ने तो देश के सीमावर्ती गांवों को भी देश का आखिरी गांव मानकर वहां विकास करना बंद कर दिया था। ये भाजपा की सरकार है जिसने सीमा किनारे बसे गांवों को देश का प्रथम गांव माना है, वहां तेज गति से विकास किया है।
And right now we have some more inputs coming in on this story. CNN News 18 has accessed the exclusive Sri Lankan document of 2008, which says that India surrendered fishing rights in Katchat in 1974 itself, and that 1976 agreement just cemented it. So that's the big update that is coming in as far as the row over Katchat Island is concerned. Now CNN News 18 has accessed this exclusive document of Sri Lanka, which is from 2008, which clearly says that India surrendered the fishing rights in Katchat Island in 1974 itself. Now, there was another agreement that took place in 1976, but this document states that 1976 agreement just cemented, but the rights were given away itself in 1974. So that's a big revelation that is coming in as far as this row is concerned. There was a lot of politics which was going on over the fishing rights in Katchat Island. And now this big update coming in. CNN News 18's Aman Sharma is now joining us with more details on this. Aman, so that's a big revelation that is coming in from the Sri Lankan document of 2008, which clearly states that the fishing rights were given away itself in 1974.
Well, exactly, Anjali. And, Indian fishermen continue to be arrested by the Sri Lankan authorities because India had surrendered the fishing rights near the Katchat Island in 1974 itself. And the Sri Lankan document we have of 2008 says this was surrendered beyond doubt, and a further agreement in 1976 only further put out this more explicitly. So this document is the reply of Sri Lanka's then Foreign Minister, Mr. Rohitha Bogolama, in the Sri Lankan Parliament in September 2008. He's citing the Article 6 of the 1974 India-Sri Lanka agreement to say only navigational right of the vessels of both Sri Lanka and India over each other's waters were preserved. The 1974 agreement did not confer any fishing rights on the Indian fishermen or the vessels which engage in fishing in Sri Lankan waters. All that the Indian fishermen could do post 1974 in terms of right of access to Katchat was to dry their nets. That's all. They can't fish anywhere near the Katchat Island. And the foreign minister of Sri Lanka further in this document is saying that the agreement, another agreement was signed in 1976, which further clarified this position, in which it was clearly mentioned in 1976 agreement that each party shall respect the rights of only navigation through the territorial sea. So if the Sri Lankan minister in this document is saying that 1974-1976 agreements, if you take them together, it has put the question of fishing rights beyond doubt and clearly rules out any fishing rights. It clearly prohibits fishing vessels and fishermen of one country fishing in another's waters. Why this is important is that because the DMK party has been arguing that its chief M. Karunanidhi had never consented on the 1976 agreement, which they said took away the Indian fishing rights because he was not in power then. But this RTI document is now revealing that what the MEA had told Mr. Karunanidhi in 1974 does not seem to be too accurate, because Mr. Karunanidhi was told that the fishing rights would remain, and they'll be still, the Indian fishermen would be able to go. But Sri Lanka now clearly saying in 1974 itself the fishing rights were surrendered by India. India has no fishing rights since 1974 in Katchat, and this is going to create more politics, because now this shows that even what Mr. Karunanidhi was told in 1974, a week after which India signed the 1974 agreement, may not have been very, very accurate, because if we look at the RTI, which was revealed by the MEA, the RTI clearly says that the ostensible reason for the lines to be drawn in the manner they were would be to ensure the maintenance of traditional fishing and other rights enjoyed by Indian nationals on and around the island, which would fall on the Sri Lankan side of the line. So clearly, it seems that 1974 briefing to Mr. Karunanidhi had some lacuna, because in 1974 itself, Sri Lanka is saying fishing rights were surrendered by India.
Also, Aman, if you could just throw some light on the plight of the fishermen today because of this move by the earlier Congress government.
Well, absolutely. And that has become the major cause, Anjali. What is happening now is that DMK has been constantly writing to the center saying that, when our fishermen wade into these waters, they get arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy and their boats are detained. And that's become a huge humanitarian issue. They have been pressing to the center to rework this agreement. But if you look at the Sri Lankan document, which we are putting out today for the first time, it is very clear Sri Lanka is saying that, look, in 1974, you yourself surrendered your fishing rights around Katchat, and this is a sovereign document between two states. It's a bilateral treaty between two states. Even if a Supreme Court gives a judgment in India against it, it will have no impact on the bilateral judgment, because India has to abide by the international treaties it has signed. You can't voluntarily withdraw from it. So that is the problem, because the way the 1974 agreement has been done, followed by further clarity in the 1976 agreement, Indian fishermen have no right to fish around Katchat, and that has caused a problem for the last 50 years now, when Indian fishermen who are going in that area are getting arrested. That is why there is no solution to this issue, and Sri Lanka clearly saying that it won't give up on its rights at all, and this is a bilateral issue even if the Indian Supreme Court decides in any matter, because there was a petition filed by former Chief Minister Jayalalitha in the Supreme Court against this. The Sri Lankan document is clearly saying that any such court order or judgment by the Indian Supreme Court will not alter or have any impact on a bilateral treaty concluded between two sovereign states.
All right, Aman, please stay with us now. CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan spoke with former Foreign Secretary Harsh Shringla on this entire controversy over Katchat Island. Let's take a look.
So from cartographic adventurism of the CCP to some territorial misadventures of erstwhile former leaders of Bharat. So Arunachal Pradesh to Katchat, let's just switch focus. Documents that have come to light of what had happened back in 1974. How would you analyze the entire turn of events?
Well, let me take up what you mentioned in terms of the comments made by the Prime Minister and the External Affairs Minister, and the comments made by the opposition in terms of the Parliament questions and responses thereon. Now, there is an official approach and there is a political approach. Officially, when you have a question in Parliament, you provide the facts. The facts are that there was a delimitation exercise in which Katchat became a part of Sri Lanka in 1974. And there was a subsequent 1976 agreement in which fishing rights were also deprived. I mean, our fishermen are deprived of those fishing rights in the 76 agreement.
Yes.
So, in response to a Parliament question, you're responding on factual basis. That is what you're supposed to do. But there is a political imperative that has come out based on the RTI, And I suspect, having dealt with Sri Lanka extensively as Joint Secretary in the neighborhood,
right,
and this issue of Katchat, and I've seen it at close quarters, both in terms of what we did with the Supreme Court and our interactions with the Tamil Nadu government, etc., and of course the Sri Lankan side.
Ji.
I can say that, it's in many senses, I think the documentation which is out in the public domain is very timely. Public needs to know on what basis their leaders and those that they have had reposed confidence in, what decisions they've taken, how they've taken those decisions, what is behind those decisions. And I think it's only correct that this point has been brought out. And keep in mind, it is 50 years since the incident. So many classified documents are declassified after 50 years.
Right.
So it's correct that such documents are out in the public domain. What does it bring out very clear? One, it brings out the fact that during British times, even though when the British government tried to separate the Indian Dominion with their Ceylon Dominion, at that time Sri Lanka or Ceylon then made a claim for Katchat. The British government took the view that no, that was untenable and kept it as part of British India. Subsequently, if you noticed, there were various opinions, which even post-independence, which said that Katchat, we had a very strong case to keep it. Yet, the government of Indira Gandhi, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and the Congress insisted on going ahead and making Katchat part of Sri Lanka. Now, you may say that it's only a small, piece of territory, but with that comes fishing rights.
Yes.
With that comes an entire area that you can fish. After all, Katchat is only 12 kilometers off the coast of, coastline of Tamil Nadu,
Ramanathapuram.
And historically, the Zamindar, the Raja of Ramanathapuram, collected land revenue from Katchat. He has the tax records, and that's what led the British to also hesitate in giving Katchat to the Sri Lankan or British Ceylon. So, for a sovereign government to go and then give Katchat to Sri Lanka under that, I would say, boundary agreement was not only an incorrect step, but I think has in many senses it is a breach of faith of the public. And that what makes it more aggravated is the fact that the records, if you see the records of which have been now released in the public domain, indicate that DMK patriarch, Mr. Karunanidhi, was briefed in great detail and he informally concurred to that agreement and those arrangements, knowing fully well the implications of Katchat going to Sri Lanka. It has deprived fishermen of Tamil Nadu, of India, the right to fish in very lucrative waters.
You're saying Congress and DMK are to blame, but till these documents came out, 21 letters, if my memory serves me right, multiple letters have been written by MK Stalin, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. One as recently as when Ranil Wickremesinghe came to Bharat, where he says that the state government was kept in the dark and that Bharat should reclaim Katchat because Tamil Nadu was not party to this transfer.
This is what I was saying, that the DMK has been very aggressive about the issue of